We are the proud and free. Welcome to Three Conservative Gimps. We got a lot to talk about tonight. I want to thank everybody for coming. Hope everything is going well. It's been a gut-wrenching last couple of days. We've got today is 9/11, so we'll be talking about that. And then we'll be talking about Charlie Kirk and where do we go from here? What we do? I'm still at a loss. I'm still perplexed why this has to happen, But let's get this show on the road and let's welcome all the way from Muskogee, Oklahoma, the punctual and panacious and with the dulcet tones. Let's welcome Lloyd Mendenhall. Welcome.
You always come up with those things, and it's almost like, I almost feel like Tyrus whenever, on Gutfield, whenever Gutfield introduced him, like, where the hell's he going with this, But yeah, welcome everybody. I'm glad to be here, Art. Been a little warm today. Got up in the upper 80s today, close to 90, just a little bit warm, but yeah, it has been a definitely a gut wrenching situation. It's been
Right.
hard. Yesterday was a rough day. It really was.
Yes. All right, let's welcome all the way from the blue state of New York. He's the chaos of cacophony. Let's welcome Charles Gillespie.
Hey, Art. Hey, Lloyd.
Hello,
Good
Charles.
evening. How's the weather in your neck of the woods?
Oh, it was lovely today.
All right. Hey, could you turn it down a smidge? You're a little hot tonight.
Oh, am I? Okay.
Sounds fine to me. Turn your headsets down.
Yeah. I'll do that as well.
There you go.
Yeah. All right. Alrighty. So Charles goes to this day, since he's several miles away from New York City, but he's closer than the two of us. Today is 9/11 day.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll all remember that, kind of like, the day when JFK was assassinated or Martin Luther King. Everybody will remember where they were, what they were doing on that day. For me, I was at work, and it was before I started listening to talk radio. And I was just listening to CDs, and somebody said, "Hey, there's a plane crash in the World Trade Center." So I quickly turned on my radio, tuned in, and just as I did that, the second plane hit. And the whole room was quiet. You could hear a pin drop. And I was listening. I was kind of doing the play-by-play of what's going on. And then I said, one of the towers has fallen. And then a few moments later, the second tower has collapsed. And one of my coworkers across from where I work, she was crying. People were just in shock. And as soon as I got home, I watched the news, and and for a while, for a short period, we were actually united. There was unity. People were united together. And how long did that last?
About 3 days.
Yeah.
Maybe a week.
little. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and as soon as the war started, That's when
Yeah.
they split.
Everybody did. Yeah, that's when everybody. I think had they not gone into Iraq, I think it would have been a little bit different. But yeah, I remember we have April 19th, I think it is. Every year we commemorate the Murrah Federal Building in Oklahoma City, and my daughter-in-law, the day that happened, my daughter-in-law calls up and says, "Have you turned on the news?" I said, "No." He says, "Well, somebody just blew up the Murrah Federal Building in Oklahoma City." And I go, "What?" I have family that work down in that area, so we're all trying to get in touch with all of them. And of course, the phone lines went crazy about then, and it was just it was crazy. And I never forget her calling me and telling me that. And then to preface that, they had just convicted the Blind Sheik on the first attempt on the World Trade Center, on the first explosion. And Judy had asked me, says, "Do you think that ever happened here?" I said, "What the hell we got here?" I said, "There's nothing to blow up here in Oklahoma. We're flat land, ain't really got anything to." And she goes, "I don't know it." And then it probably wasn't a week or two later, and the Murrah Federal Building got hit. Well, fast forward to 9/11, and and this is James's first wife. My daughter, she calls me up first thing that morning, right after the first plane hit. She goes, "I don't know, but there's a plane crash that hit one of the buildings in the World Trade Center in New York." Says, "I kind of think we might be under attack." And I, really? So I turned it on and started watching it. It was just not too long after I turned it on, the second plane turned into it. Like, oh shit,
Yep.
And then the Pentagon one came up. Like,
Pentagon, yep.
And then of course flight
93.
93. I knew it was 90 something. I always get them mixed up. But anyways, flight 93 happened out in Pennsylvania. It's like, this was some serious crap. So yeah, I remember exactly what I was doing. Judy and I sat here and watched the television all day long until it got to the point we just couldn't watch anymore. You just get so overwhelmed. And the weirdest thing of that whole thing was when the jets quit flying, because we live an hour from two airports. One is an international airport, and we got 5 hours down. We got Dallas, Dallas Fort Worth Airport down there. So we're always got, and then you got the ones going into Arkansas. So they're always coming across. Man, that was the most eerie thing I ever seen.
Yeah,
there was no
it was.
It just felt like it was just like, what the hell, you couldn't get your. It was hard to get your head wrapped around it, especially those of us that didn't live nearby. But here in Oklahoma, it really hit home to us because we just, we'd had the Murrah Federal Building just back in, what was that, about 90, let's see, 93,
96,
96, 97, something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So here we are, because it was on the 5th anniversary of David Koresh when the Murrah Federal Building happened, and then it was seemed like it was almost about right at 5 years later, which is about 4 years later. But yeah, we had that in New York, and just watching that, seeing the tower go down, I was just like, that went down, and it seemed like it was in a long span of time from when they got hit to when they went down, but it really wasn't. It just, you see everybody running, and just, of course, everybody's seen all of those horrific videos, and yeah, I know exactly what I was doing that day.
Yep. Yeah, and I hate the comments, like, who was it? Rosie O'Donnell saying, "Metal doesn't burn," and it's like, oh, you fucking moron.
Of course it does.
Yeah, it does.
How the hell do you think what does she think they do? Just hammer out the forms out of something out of rock? I mean, that's just like. Yeah, there was.
And that jet fuel is very volatile and will burn very hot. And with all the other combustibles in that building, and that caused those girders to buckle, and it caused everything to pancake on itself.
Yeah, and because it was, and they don't know how much. I'm sure they figured it out, but there could have still been structural damage from the first time. That weakened some of that. It was just because I don't think Osama bin Laden expected to do that. That was
Right.
that was a bonus to him. He thought, well, if he killed a couple hundred Americans, that would be enough. But no, he ended up killing all of those. And it was just. But what was it like in New York, there, Charles? Or what do you remember of it?
Well, I remember that day quite well. I had just started working at a new job. I had just started working for the company at the time was I think it was still called Blue Cross and Blue Shield of northeastern New York or something like that. I hadn't been working there very long, and I had a boombox that was sitting on my desk, but I was listening to it through headphones, and I had found a way to listen to Howard Stern. So I was listening to Howard Stern, and all of a sudden he comes on and says, a plane has hit the towers. And at that time, I'm thinking, because he didn't say what type of plane. He just said a plane has hit the Twin Tower. I'm thinking somebody, was drunk or somehow lost control of like a Piper Cub.
Yeah, that's what I thought too at first. Yeah.
And then of course, shortly after the second plane hit, he said, a second plane has hit the towers. We're under attack. We're under attack. And I'm like, and I just thought, well, okay, that is a really bizarre coincidence, but aren't you maybe, jumping the gun? At the time, once again, not understanding that we were, talking about two 747 size planes. I'm still thinking two smaller planes.
Yeah.
Got screwed up. But then over the course of like the next couple of hours, as everybody in the building, at that time I worked in a building that was 6 stories, and there was something like 1,200 people worked there. You could feel the change in energy, and the nervous tension in the air was palpable. You could cut it with a knife. I'm not kidding. And at that point in time, I was even though I couldn't contact them, and they couldn't contact me because I was at work. I had friends at that time on an old Yahoo chat forum. And, when I got home and booted up my computer, everybody was, are you okay? Everybody was wondering what was going on. And was it the regional manager, maybe? If it wasn't the regional manager, then it was definitely the woman who was in charge of like the whole building. Came down to us on my floor and talked to us. And I'm thinking she must have had management on every floor talking to their employees simultaneously. And because this is part of, Blue Cross Blue Shield, which is a nationwide company, they had offices in the towers. And they were looking for people to volunteer to go through an effort to try and, they just wanted to, try to call down there, call around, call family members, call whoever, and try and locate employees that were supposedly in that building. And I volunteered as part of that effort. Now, they didn't have me there for very long. They only had me after, this is after work that they had me come in. I was only there, I don't know, maybe an hour or 2 hours. But my mom working for my mom was working for the National Guard at the time as a civilian. So it was just, I think maybe at that point in time, she might have just been in like the general, what used to be called the secretarial pool. So she volunteered. and that was a much bigger effort for her because, it's the National Guard. They went from zero to red alert, 0 to 60, however you want to call it, like that.
Mm-hmm.
And during the course of the next year, my mom, in terms of just helping to take care of all the stuff that the National Guard was involved, she volunteered like 800 hours in that during the course of the next year, putting in, free time
Mm-hmm.
to help out with that. So that, I mean, that's what it was like for me. And everybody was like, I think maybe one person could, texted me and was like, "Are you all right?" And I was just like, "Yeah, I'm
Mm-hmm.
250 miles north of everything that's going on down there, so I'm safe."
Yeah.
But like I said, the tension, the emotional tension, the spiritual tension and disturbance in the building was palpable. I could just, it was all around me. I could just feel it without even having to talk to anybody.
Right. Mm-hmm.
I remember talking to my mom during that time. Well, my mom had passed away by then, but I remember her telling me, uh, and I remember my uncle because I talked to him because he had her brother, and I remember them telling the story of where they were at and what happened on December 7th of
Mm.
1941.
Right.
And my uncle could remember that day vividly, even though he was at this time he was close to 78 years old. He passed away not probably not more than a year afterwards, but he remembered being a Marine and being then they were testing the hull integrity of the battleships, and they'd load them full of Marines, and they'd do it before they'd put the full armament on them. So they'd float them up, they'd sail them up to Pearl and then back down and bring them back in at Treasure Island. And when he just come back that the night before Pearl Harbor and was staying at it was either a girlfriend's house or a uh, or it could have been his first wife. I didn't know he had until after my mom passed away, and I even called him and said, "Who is this person?" Because it listed her as the. He goes, "Oh my God, I haven't heard that name in 60, 70 years." It's like it says, "Yeah,
Mm.
she couldn't be married to a Marine that was going off to war, so instead she left me for a guy in the Navy."
No.
'Cause that was the real insult about it. He said, "I didn't care that she left. It's just that she left for a guy in the Navy." But he was telling me he got put on guard duty. He got to calling. They called each one of them at their home or those that were off base and called them all in. It was like all hands on deck here. And he remembers driving up and going down to the main gate, and there was people just lined up cheering on the Marines and the sailors and all of the military that was coming in. They were just cheering them on, and uh, so that was something that sticks with him or stuck with him is remembering that they just put new fuel tanks in the ground there, but they hadn't put any fuel in them yet. So his job was to they had to guard all the fuel tanks in case they got attacked. But so his
Mm-hmm.
job, they said, go out there and guard that fuel tank. For how long? He says, until we come and get you. And he says, how long is that going to be? It might be a day or two. Okay. And he said
Mm-hmm.
the only thing that happened to him was he had to go to the bathroom really bad,
Oh.
but he couldn't leave where he's at because if they looked out there, they needed to see him standing there. So he
Uh-huh.
just flipped open the lid to this brand new fuel dump and peed
Took
in
it.
it. So the first
Oh.
fuel to come out of those new to it had my uncle's piss in it. So, but those are the type of things that he remembered. It's just like like Charles will never forget, and neither will his mother, what they were doing, just like I didn't.
Mhm.
Being in Oklahoma and having to live through all of that with Merle Federal Building, before we were on just like it just
Mhm.
raised that level back up. So yeah, uh
Mhm.
that's 9/11 is our December 7th.
Yep.
The sad thing is people will still quote this is the day that shall live in infamy from 1941.
Uh-huh.
But there's generations that have been born, and of course, I wasn't born then, but I still knew about December 7th, and I still understood the significance of it. And
Yeah.
the stupid thing started tracking me again.
Yeah, because you
Anyway,
kept waving your
yeah,
hand.
I kept waving my hand. Let me
Yeah.
go back in. There we go.
There you
Anyways,
go.
that's what I get for getting a camera smarter than me. But anyways, they these generations now, a lot of them weren't born. Anybody under 25 or under
Mhm.
24 won't even know about it. Or even anybody under say 27
Right.
probably don't remember it. So
Mhm.
uh, so it's kind of we've kind of lost that. Yeah, they still do the memorial there.
Yep.
They still. It's like my cousin called me today, and he started asking, "What does this SSG stand for in front of this guy's name?" And it's, what does uh, LCMDR stand for? I said, "Well, SSG stands for Staff Sergeant. LCDMR is Lieutenant Commander. That's Navy." Oh, okay.
Mhm.
Because they were scrolling it across the bottom of the screen as they were showing some of the ceremony that was going on, and he was not
Mhm.
military, and of course, it's like I told him, it's always a crapshoot trying to figure out what in the hell the Navy means by their ranks, because it's nothing like our. 3 branches of the service use the same rank. The Navy had to do it their own way. I don't know.
Yep. Yep.
Same way Star Trek does it.
Let's say hello to the folks in the chat. We got Ronnie. God bless America. We got Charles
Ronnie,
Gillespie. We got Andrew. We've got Chris. Have drone will fly. And we got Bill. Uncle Bill's Toys.
hey Bill,
And we got Cool Cat. Hey, Michael. Good to see you. And we got Brad and Anna's Attic. We got Brian, Waypoint, New England. We got
hey
Mark
Brian,
R. White. And who else? Oh, we got Mr. JRCs. Good to see you. And I'm trying to think of who Mr. JRC. I think. We got Captain Joe, USA
hey
Drone
Joe.
Flyer. Chris Wedgeworth. He was number 1 today.
Yeah, it's been a while since I've seen
Yeah.
his name pop up. So glad you could make it, Chris. And
Good to
you know,
see you.
yeah,
Oh, righty. So we'll go right into our the big topic, the big elephant in the room,
yeah.
the assassination of Charlie Kirk yesterday afternoon, and
Well,
I
12:50, I think.
yeah. So it'd be 1 o'clock our time. Yeah.
Oh, it happened in Utah. It would have been the same time zone as you, wouldn't it?
You know what? I think you're right. I thought
Yeah,
they were on. Yeah, you're right. If you
and
would
I
have
think
gone,
Utah still.
yeah,
Yeah.
Utah is Mountain Time Zone. Okay, you're right. Yeah, I heard about it. Where was I? I was at work. I think I got a message. I've got a smartphone, and it anything on Facebook or Facebook. If I get a message, either private message or just a posting on Facebook, I'll pick it up. And it said that Charlie Kirk got shot. And then a few minutes later, Lloyd says, "Hey, Charlie Kirk got shot." And I said, "Yeah, I just heard, and just wonder what was going on. Where was he?" And he was at the Utah Valley University, and he was giving a speech. He was doing his usual "prove me wrong" debates,
Yep.
and he was just getting started when a shot rang out, and I saw the video, and you could see his jugular was uh, just
Just severed.
destroyed,
Yeah.
severed, and blood just pouring out. And when I heard the report say he was in, stable condition, I'm like going, no, he didn't survive that he's in the hospital, and no, he was probably dead within a few seconds because uh, the amount of blood that he lost, he had
Lost.
no
It looked like he
oxygen.
lost a quart right within the first
Right,
minute.
right.
Yeah, I went and saw it too. And there's a guy called Kentucky Ballistics, and he was shooting a 50 cal gun and it exploded and it came by and it cut it got his carotid right here. But he was able to stick his thumb in it, and he held his thumb in it until his dad could get him to the hospital.
Uh-huh.
And if nobody did that, but this was down right where it comes below, but it was the carotid and it was pumping, and he sticks his thumb in it. It's the only thing he could think to do. Of course, then he had T-shirts printed up and said, "Just stick your thumb in it." But unless somebody put pressure on that, right away,
Yeah.
he'd lost a lot. And
Yep.
I'm just I don't know what to think about it. I'm just like,
Yep.
it
Yeah,
doesn't matter.
Rocky said, but the right wingers are the violent ones. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's what is really aggravating the hell out of me out of some of the left press is they keep calling him a right winger
Right.
instead of saying
Or
right
Trump
winger.
supporter.
Yeah, Trump supporter, but they really like throwing that word right winger around. But
Right. Like a
instead
pejorative or something.
instead of conservatives, he was a
Yeah.
conservative he was a conservative
Influencer.
activist
He was a Christian. That
Yeah.
was his
above
big
all things.
that he was a Christian, and that was his big emphasis.
Hmm.
That's why he was doing this. He's
Yeah,
out having these debates to try and wash away a lot of the nonsense that we see.
Hmm.
right. I remember seeing him, I don't know, 4 or 5 years ago on YouTube, and he would just at the time, it's before he got the big venue that he has, but it might have even been 6 years ago. He'd set up a small table and put a placard on the front of it says uh, abortion, something abortion is a sin. Prove me wrong.
Right.
And he'd have people show up. Of course, you get the purple-haired ones that were all whacked out and stuff. But
Hmm.
and that's the problem. That's the real problem. Is the fact that what scared them.
You're
Oh, the
right.
carotid. Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
I said juggler because I couldn't. The other day I couldn't spell carotid, so and I just said juggler because it's in the
Yeah.
same area. It was pumping out a crap load of blood. Okay,
Hmm.
and I
Yeah.
couldn't remember how to spell carotid yesterday when I was
Yeah.
trying to put that up there, so I just put juggler. But anyways, yeah. Uh, uh, he never, his problem was, and this is what scared the left about him was the fact that he was so persuasive.
Hmm.
He
Yeah.
never he always listened to the other side, and then he
Right.
went through and basically destroyed their point of view, but not like not like I probably would have done it, and not like Donald Trump would have done it,
Right.
and I said this to my cousin yesterday, and I said it to you before the show. He was the Rush Limbaugh of that generation,
Right.
the younger generation. He had the same influence, if not more so, because not only did he bring the young vote to the conservative point of view, so in such large numbers, but he was respected by everybody in his, us older guys. We respected him. I mean, it's like I remember seeing an interview when he was, God, he was only like 19 years old. He's just a kid then. Hell, he's just a kid. Now I got a granddaughter older than him.
Yeah.
I said several grandkids older than him, and
Hmm.
it's just, it was, like you said, the right wingers are supposed to be the violent ones, but yet
Hmm.
it seems like all of these things that's been happening in the last couple of years has all been from the left.
from the left. Yep. And trans too. You know, you look at the
Well, yeah,
Well,
there is no such thing as a right wing. I don't think there is. Well, I was going to
yeah,
say I
there's
don't think
one.
there is. Yeah, then I
Caitlyn Jenner.
remember there. Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah. Caitlyn Jenner's the only one I know of. You know.
No,
Mhm.
there was somebody else. I remember there was some
Yeah, I
other.
think there was. I can't remember it either, but yeah, for the most part, there is no conservative or right wing uh, uh, trans people. There, yeah. Sorry, I had an itch there. I was trying to get it at the same time I was trying to talk, and yeah, I am not coordinated enough to do two things at once. At least not anymore. But yeah,
Mhm.
it's that's why I had to quit chewing gum. You know,
Yeah.
'cause every
Mhm.
time I was chewing it, if I was walking, I'd fall down. So I just thought,
Right.
do I need
Well,
the
you
gum or do I
may
need
have
to be up?
problem drinking coffee and doing a show without.
Oh yeah, that's without choking to death. Yeah, that's. You think I ain't careful now? I still am careful, but yeah. But he was such a God, and you're
Influence.
right, Charles. He was a Christian first. He was a Christian,
Right.
Mhm.
but he wasn't. He wa-
Bombastic.
Yeah, yeah, he wasn't preachy about everything.
Right.
His
Mhm.
he truly walked and talked his faith.
Mhm.
And God bless his family. It just breaks
Yeah.
my heart to think of that. I was, and I'm not going to sit here and lie to you and say I didn't shed a tear because a lot of it brings back, and it's still fresh in my mind. Bringing back when Judy passed away and how lost I am, and I'm a lot older, and we were both a lot older people than what his young wife with two kids
Right.
that will grow up not remembering him. I'm sure they'll know who he is because I'm sure she'll keep that alive. You know,
Mhm.
but it's just so unnecessary. The vitriol and the hate and the attitude that comes out of the left side,
Mhm.
and they're getting to that point where they're going to poke the bear. What the left doesn't remember is like Ruby Ridge and that family. We're going to have some people like that start showing up if uh,
Mhm.
and this isn't what he wanted. He preached love and peace, but
Right.
he also preached, you know, uh, or didn't preach. He talked it, because
Mhm.
he was never preachy. He was always, yeah, the demonic comments circulating on YouTube are
Yeah.
unbelievable. Yes, these
Mhm.
people that are celebrating it, uh,
Right. And
it's
that's
just,
what really makes me sick.
well,
You
at least Dowd is off. They fired his butt.
Oh yeah, yeah, and now there's a photo circulating around. I guess this guy was at the rally, and after Charlie Kirk got shot,
Right?
he's like celebrating. And I'm like going, you know what? And they got a picture of him, and they're going to find out who that guy is, and I bet you he'll have a very hard time finding any work.
Yeah, I think because I think something is going to come of this,
Mhm.
but I'm not sure what. I think no play on words, but this is a turning point. And
Yes.
yeah,
Mhm.
and I said earlier before the show that it was my cousin, but it's actually Greg called me last night, and he said, "Am I overthinking this, or is this tantamount to what happened when Martin Luther King was assassinated?" And
Mm.
because that was, Martin Luther King, of course, he was a conservative. This is what they don't, people don't realize about him, especially
Right.
especially when you got people like Al Sharpton and
Mhm.
Jesse Jackson, those
Mhm.
kind of people. They think because they marched that they can be these far left liberal type of guys, and that's
Mhm.
not who Martin Luther King was. But yeah, I think this is what this may, because out of Martin Luther King's assassination became uh, far more reaching uh, race equality than,
Right. Hmm.
you know.
Yeah, it was more about character
Yeah,
instead of
he was. And had he not been shot or assassinated, who knows what would have happened?
right.
Would we have had Barack Obama as a president? I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't
that's
think so. I don't think he would have. Of course, I think he would have been too old by the time Barack Obama got. He'd already been dead from old age. But it's
no.
just it's this is what Charlie Kirk is to this new generation, especially with all of the way they've been putting down men, straight
Hmm.
white men.
Hmm.
They're making it seem like, well, the only way you can be a real man is to have a sex change. Like, really? And he was against that. And
Hmm. Hmm.
MLK was a commie. I wouldn't be surprised. But the point is in that, and uh, well, the communists, they wouldn't have put up with the trans people. They wouldn't have put up with
No.
they would have killed them all.
Well, and
Or
you can't
since
forget that who was the head of the FBI?
oh, J. Edgar Hoover,
Yeah, he hated Martin Luther King.
he did, and I don't, not discounting what Tucker Carlson says, but I'm out. And thank you, Ronnie, because I'm going to go actually watch that thing that Tucker Carlson. Uh, I don't watch him like I used to because I don't know he
He's kind of gone off the deep end, I think.
yeah, he kind of has gone a different direction. He got a little bit too big.
Hmm. Oh, a college professor was
Oh,
fired.
really?
Oh,
Well, good for the college that did that.
yeah,
These this hatred has got to quit. That's the problem.
yeah.
And I know we're preaching to the choir here.
Hmm.
But this is going to lead to, this very thing could lead to something far worse than what the
Right.
left ever expected.
Hmm.
And you mentioned it earlier too about uh, you know the election is a little ways off. There's going to be a sudden swing of young men that maybe they didn't know who Charlie Kirk was, but they're going to go start watching him on YouTube, and it's like,
Right.
oh
Hmm.
wow, I didn't know that. And now and there will be a bigger influx into the conservative movement,
Hmm.
but I don't think he's going to be forgotten. I
Hmm.
really don't.
Right.
I think this
Oh, wow. The dean was fired. Ooh,
college
okay.
dean in Tennessee.
Hmm.
Well, it needs to be done. It's time for us to start taking back our country.
Right.
And I don't mean in a violent way. I mean
Hmm.
in the people that we let into office, the people we select for office. I
Right.
don't. I live in the reddest state in the union, so it's not really a big deal to me
Hmm.
because we've already done that. Yeah, there's a few things our governor has done. He's a Republican, and I think he's kind of crossed the line there a little bit, and he hasn't dealt with things the way he should have. But
Right.
yeah, I but I think this is and of course that's a play on words, I guess, a turning point, you
Right.
know. And South Carolina is extremely red. Yeah, yeah.
Well,
I only say we're the reddest state in the union simply because both times that they voted, or all three times that Trump has ran for election, Oklahoma has voted every county red.
Hmm.
So uh,
Well, I think what's going to happen in the next election cycle is I think the young voters are going to be the key to this. And I think you're going to see a lot of surprises in blue
yeah,
states.
I
Where
think so. Yeah,
I
they're
think
going to come out because
Republicans are going to take those marginal Democrats seats and start winning, and yeah, and we'll hope. I'm hoping we expand our majority in the House and maybe even in the Senate as well. And
I think it's going to depend on it. Damn camera. It's going to depend on what happens over the next month or two.
right, and
You know,
yeah, that we got
because
14 months till the next
well,
election.
yeah, and it may, if, as I said, if the they keep saying like Charlie Kirk was a right wing uh, extremist or a right wing
Right,
and they keep putting that. They don't know what a right these people that are broadcasting in the news now. They do not know what a right wing uh, extremist is. Go back and look. We've had some. Like I said, Ruby Ridge is the one that pops into mind.
right.
Uh, and but there's been several others. There's one. It's one of the ranches up in Montana. But those guys came out with their guns. And if enough of those kind of guys get together, if the militias that have formed over the years should
Mm-hmm,
ever say it's time now, God help this country. I mean, truly. Uh,
mm-hmm,
but I hope and pray that we don't have that. I don't want to see our country live through a civil war, you know,
right.
because that's
Mm-hmm,
what it'll do. But on the other hand, it's time for us as conservatives to stand up and shout louder than we ever did. That's the
mm-hmm,
reason he was. That's the reason he was killed, was to silence him, to scare to uh, 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 to scare conservatives into standing up and shouting from the rooftops. And I think we should. Every single person that is in earshot of what we're saying should
mm-hmm.
contact everybody else that they know, and let's, because that's what. Thanks, Andrew. I would, but I don't. I couldn't put up with the. I'd be impeached probably the first week I was there because I'd fire every damn person in Washington.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and then spend the next 3 years and 9 months or 10 months in court battles. Because that's what
Mm-hmm.
I. What Trump is doing is nothing compared to what I'd do.
Yeah.
You know, I'd put a few of them old Congress people out there and say, "Yeah, we need to drain the swamp," and have them all go out there and start shoveling water out of the that big long uh, where Washington Monument is at. The What do they call that?
Oh, the mall.
Yeah, the mall. All the water that's yeah.
Yeah.
Have them start emptying that first, and
Mm-hmm.
turn that into usable ground that we could use for something besides
Yeah. There you
holding
go.
water and looking pretty.
Well, it was supposed to be a reflecting pool. It's between the Washington
I bet.
Monument
Yeah,
and yeah. So and you got to remember that was all swampland, and because the Potomac River runs through there. Mm-hmm.
yeah, yeah. It was. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. I just reading what Andrew said. See what he's saying now. Uh, but yeah, it's the hatred's got to stop.
Mm-hmm.
But we can't just let this go unanswered. And
Right.
I don't mean physically with violence. I mean we can't let it go unanswered. We need to have all of these people and that held accountable for what they say and what they do. I think it's I think uh, they fired Dodd simply because on the 5, Greg Gutfield said he should have been fired, and right, it was so fresh that they were scared what the backlash would be, so they fired him. And the
Hmm.
stuff he said was just plain ignorant.
Oh,
I
I
mean, it
know.
was just
Stupid.
it was dumber. I'm sitting there, and then I was listening to I think it was CNN that had who's a white haired guy is he's the son
Anderson
of
Cooper.
yeah, Anderson Cooper. He was on
Oh,
there, and another guy, and they had some talking head come on and basically saying the same vitriol and the same crap that
well.
that they said over on MSNBC.
Hmm.
And I think it's time we should shout it from the rooftops. You know,
Right. Hmm.
I'm mad as hell, and I'm not going to take it anymore.
Yeah. Hmm.
You know, and that's what it should be. And not with guns, but I will say this much: I won't be leaving the house. Yeah, I'd gotten to a point where I felt fairly comfortable that I didn't carry mine all the time.
Right.
That has changed.
Yep.
Uh, I won't feel because we're either going to have a bunch of copycats or a bunch of wackos, or maybe even people from our side of the spectrum might start getting a little crazy out there,
Right.
and it ain't going to take too many. I mean, my God, the guy was what 31 years old, and
31.
would have been
Two
32
kids.
sometime this year. Yeah,
Yep.
and two
3 and
kids
1 year
and a
old.
wife. Yeah,
Yep.
it's just it's so unnecessary because you didn't agree with his point of view.
Right.
And it wasn't like, I mean, God, there's guys out there that are just ripping on people. I mean, really ripping them a new one.
Hmm.
And yet, here's this guy. He was always respectful. He always gave them the opportunity to say what they wanted.
Hmm.
I mean, you compare him to Ben Shapiro. Ben
Right.
Shapiro is pretty sharp edged. He's
Yeah.
uh, Charlie Kirk was much nicer and calmer and
Right.
just
Hmm.
oh, he got excited because he believed in it. I mean, he truly believed. His faith was just unbelievably strong. And
Right.
but for this to happen over in Utah, this was
Mhm.
you know uh I don't
Yeah.
know.
And
I
we
just
were talking before the show that this had it looked very much like it was a professional hit.
yeah.
And when they catch this guy, they'll be going through his financial records, and we'll find out. We'll follow the money, and we'll find out who is behind all this, who set this guy up. Uh, where is this guy? Still hunting for him. I mean,
Yeah, I'm gonna if I can bring it up because there's let me see. Let me cancel that and start over again. I want to share this shot and put uh,
okay.
is that it? Yeah. There we go. Okay.
Uh-huh.
I don't know if you guys can see my arrow or not. Yeah, it looks like you
Yeah.
can.
Yep, we can see it.
Okay.
Yep.
There's two things that when a trans person changes, there's two things they can't hide. One is their DNA is always going to show them as being genetically male or
Yeah.
female. The other one is a a female who transitions to male can't hide their hips. They're because a
Right.
woman's hips are set differently so that and they're at an angle so to for having children,
Hmm.
And if you look
Hmm.
right here, look at this person's hips.
Yep.
if that's not and even the face you can sort of see, if that's not a female, I'd be surprised. In
Yeah,
biological female, I'd be real surprised.
I don't
Uh,
see any Adam's apple.
well, exactly, right
Well,
here, but it could just be where it was taken. The way the
yeah.
angle. But
Mm-hmm.
if because they found trans stuff carved into the magazines, that could have just been, they're trying to. This could be somebody that has nothing to do with the trans movement, but is trying to deflect it. You know,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
but as I said, just looking, just this shot here, and again, it could be the camera angle, and like you said, no Adams, but it could all be on the shot. I'm going to stop sharing that. Okay.
Already.
But I don't know. It was just something
Some
I noticed when I was looking at that, and I thought, well, I'm
Right.
going to download this so I can point it out on the show. I could be completely wrong. Damn camera. I could be completely wrong. Uh, in the
and that's
fact,
that we don't even know that that's the person.
no, no,
That is just a person of interest for
a person
whatever
of interest.
reason.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
Somebody who happened to be in the wrong place at the wrong time.
it could be.
Mm-hmm.
It'd be the third person of interest they've had. And
Right.
but uh, I don't know. Got to run.
Yeah.
Have a great weekend. Yeah,
Yeah.
Ronnie,
Good,
have a good
Ronnie.
weekend too. Yeah, yeah. And thanks for
So they've got the rifle. They're testing it for DNA,
yeah.
and they're looking for any kind of prints that may still be
They
on
have a
it.
palm print. They have
Yep.
a palm print. They have
Um,
a like a forearm print.
yep. Hmm.
And plus they're going to be using facial recognition. So if this person's ever had their picture taken before, uh,
Hmm.
they could very well find that person. Uh, it's a person of interest again. Uh, at some point, somewhere along the line, I don't know when they did it, but they quit using, the word suspect and changed all suspects to a person of interest.
Right.
And
Hmm.
maybe that comes out of like the Olympic bombing in Georgia, where the
Yeah.
the guard was, listed as a suspect, and they arrested him. Turned out he had nothing to do with it. He's the one who called
Right.
in and said, hey, uh,
And it ruined his life too.
it ruined his life. Yeah. So
Yep.
maybe that's why they do it now, just a person of interest.
Right. Yeah.
Because I
Hmm.
don't know when they quit using the word suspect, but yeah, it's what do they call it? Pablum, I guess. It's uh,
Hmm.
Oh. No, pablum
never.
was what they feed babies.
Hmm.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. That's what I thought. It's been a while since I've been around a baby, so.
Uh-huh.
But
Mhm.
that's what they do with, that's sort of what they're doing with a person of interest. They seem to, be spoon feeding as something that would be less shocking or less
Mhm.
distressing. Here's a little pablum, keep quiet. And
Mhm. Mhm. Here's your uh kitty snack, like what they give to cats to kind of calm them down. They've got that little that spread that's in a pouch, and you squeeze it out and kind of looks.
catnip.
Yeah, no, it's not catnip. It's actual cat treats. It
Oh,
comes in
okay.
a little tube, and they just tear off
Oh,
the
yeah,
end.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Uh, so
Well, Mark, yeah, you're right. I mean, as I said, I don't, I don't know, but saw those videos too, Mark, about that. So
uh,
you're right. Yeah, but uh,
hmm
that was on Uncle Bill's show. But yeah,
hey,
uh,
just watch RuPaul. Wow. Yeah.
yeah.
So where do we go from here? How do we I mean, stop this rhetoric. I mean, how do we get people stop, saying anybody, if they don't agree with somebody, we need to tone it down, stop calling people Nazis or Hitler, and
Yeah.
and the media is also partly to
Well,
blame.
in the case of the media, I think they should start being held accountable for
Right.
hate speech. You know, and
Mhm.
here's the thing: it's a slippery slope, guys. Because look at where the UK is now.
Mm.
Yeah.
They are really, you write up something like, "Oh my God, I can't believe you put that hair barrette in your hair. That's just ugly." Now you're being arrested for hate speech.
Right.
You write it up on Facebook, and they're going to arrest you for hate speech. What do we do? What do we as a country do? One, we have to we one as a country, we need to get back to God. We need to get back to what
Right.
at least the moral values. And that's the problem. The left has got zero morality anymore.
Right.
You know, they're they
Well, they think they're morally superior, is what they think.
yeah, and
They
unfortunately,
think that they're
because
right
they
and
don't teach
everybody else
history in
is wrong.
yeah, because they don't teach history in school anymore, a lot of these young people they don't I don't think they even know what morality is and what's a bad thing. They sure as hell don't know the only thing they've seen about Adolf Hitler is when somebody has taken that video clip where Hitler's losing his he's madder than hell, and he starts going off, and it's all in German, but
Oh yeah,
people
that's
have
all.
overdubbed it now like, well, oh, that's
Well,
Hitler. He was talking bad about Donald Trump or something like that, or Hillary Clinton. That's what a lot of these kids they don't realize.
Mhm.
Anyway, you were going to say something, Charles. I'm sorry.
just that. I don't know if any of you folks know this, and I don't know if I've mentioned it before, but there is or at least there was, a channel on X, formerly Twitter, um, where somebody took and used AI to, and I don't know. I mean, anybody who speaks German and English could have done this years ago. I don't know why this was never done before. But somebody took AI and translated Hitler's speeches into English
Oh yeah,
Mhm.
okay.
for people
Yeah,
to go and listen for themselves. And I will tell you, it gives a very different impression than what we've always of Hitler than what we've always been led to believe.
yeah.
Mhm.
That's of course, it isn't. This
I'm
wasn't
not
it.
saying that what he
Yeah,
did was right at all,
right.
but what we've been told is not actually what he was saying.
Mhm.
And that very well could be true because most of us don't speak English. I do know
I mean,
that I
German.
watched German. Yeah, I
but
said
but
English,
again,
didn't I?
there are people that speak both languages. How come nobody has done this before, and how come it we had to wait this long before and have to use AI to do it? You know what I
Mhm.
mean?
Yeah, and yeah, that's a good question. It's a very good question. But you know, as I said, I don't speak German,
Mhm.
but I did watch the movie The Last Days of Hitler,
Right. Mhm.
and that's really, and of course, it's all in German, so you have to read
Right.
subtitles, and that's where
Mhm.
that clip is from. You know,
Mhm.
uh,
Mm-hmm.
it's from The Last Days of Hitler, and it was it's chilling. You know,
Mhm. Mhm.
uh, what he did on those last days, and
Right.
it's just he was still right up to the very end. He was still going out and giving medals to Hitler Youth guys that were because that's
Right.
all that was left to defend
Mhm.
Berlin at that time
Really.
because the Allies were all closing in from all
Mhm.
sides, and so these guys have been standing out there doing their best. And he gave them a medal and then told them they were relieved of duty.
Uh-huh.
and they didn't want to leave because they believed in
The
uh,
cause.
the cause, the Fuhrer and the Reich, you know.
Hmm.
And so it's like, uh, but it's chilling. And you're right, Charles. I don't know why, but again, we have not. These young people don't understand what they're saying when they call somebody Hitler, you know,
Hmm.
or a Nazi, you know,
Right.
or
Hmm.
you
Right.
know,
Agreed.
a fascist,
A
uh,
fascist. Yeah.
and
Homophobic, racist,
right,
xenophobe. You know, it's like they don't want to debate. They just go off and anything that doesn't comport with what they say, uh, they automatically fall back to, well, you're a racist or you're a Nazi, and it's like,
yeah,
well, prove your point, you know.
yeah.
And they're just lazy, and it's easy to do. Is the
Well, and I think in a lot of cases there, it's part of their employment contract. You know, they have to
Yeah.
be
Well,
they're
and they're
sensitive.
emotional. They're
Oh
emotional
yeah,
based. They're not logic based like conservatives. Most part are logic based.
yeah, and that's
We see a
because
problem, we figure out what the solution is, and then
right.
do it. The liberals, they don't think that way. They think, oh, we gotta be compassion. We need to throw money at it. And then when we do that and it doesn't work, well, we need to throw more money. We'll do it better next time.
Yeah, yeah, and oh, I was going to say something. I can't remember what it was now.
And
It had
just
to do with
like socialism and communism fails everywhere. For example, the government of Nepal just fell yesterday. The
did it.
communist government fell. They
Okay.
the
Yeah.
people have been burning the government
Oh,
buildings, and the prime minister fled the country. Gee, I wonder where he went. Could be China, you know, most likely. And so I think what's happening is some of these totalitarian governments, I think people are starting to get fed up. And some of these governments are one by one starting to crumble. Like I
right,
think
right.
Iran is teetering on the edge. Israel just wiped out the last remnants of Hamas in Qatar, as
Yeah,
Venezuela is on the brink of collapse as well. Yeah.
yeah. It's the whole idea of socialism, communism is such a is such it's so flawed. You know,
Yep.
it's not like the utopia that it's not like we see it, and on Star Trek, because they solved all their problems, had all their wars, but yet they still had problems. There were still people on Earth that were doing terrorist acts and stuff, because they brought
Mhm.
it into it. Now, mind you, that's fictional, but that just goes to show you that not everybody's happy with utopia,
Right.
you
Hmm.
know. And don't take this wrong way, anybody, but I saw this meme. These two kids were coming home from school, and one little boy says, "There are 54 because they had to fill out papers. Says there are 54 genders. Did you know that?" He says, "No, no. There's only two genders, a boy and a girl. It's just 52 cases of mental health that's just happened."
Yep. Hmm.
Yeah, and it's
That's
like,
right.
okay,
Oh, Brazil president was arrested for attempted coup. 27 years in prison. Oh, okay. Cool. Okay. Interesting.
yeah,
Yes.
it's
Just on a side, kind of on a side note here, because we mentioned Venezuela, I have to laugh. They said they have 4.5. They're mobilizing 4.5 million soldiers. I mean, who are they trying to kid?
Yeah.
Who are they trying to kid?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because they don't have that, you know,
Not even close. Not even
not even.
barely like six hundred
I
thousand max.
Yeah,
Could they
I think I
summon?
saw they said they'd have to, to have that big of a military, they'd have to enlist almost 2/3 of the country's population, and the
Yeah.
fact that and many of them would be women and children, you know,
Yeah. Mm.
just to fill those slots. So yeah,
Right.
it's ridiculous. It really is. And but where do we, like you said, like you asked that question, where do we go from here?
Right.
And I've been thinking about this since yesterday. And the only real answer is we as conservatives need to stick together. We need to coalesce and become one giant. Uh,
Right.
and as Greg Gutfield so eloquently said yesterday, you just woke us the fuck up.
Right. Mm-hmm. Right.
You know, I heard that. I saw that live. I was actually watching it live, and I was
Right.
like, "Oh my god!" And I thought, well, maybe it's because where I was watching it, they didn't beep it, but then they played it back again,
Mm.
and it was what's her name, Kelly, uh,
Megan Kelly.
Megan Kelly, yeah,
Yeah. Right.
our hit on
Yeah,
drug
that's right.
operations
We
ended
sunk
by
one
that.
of their boats. Yep.
Yeah, Nicholas Maduro. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, yeah, but she Megan Kelly, she was talking to Glenn Beck, and they were
Right.
just like, "What do we do?" And it's just like, "Where do we go?" She dropped the F bomb, and Glenn Beck
Oh yeah.
doesn't usually use that kind of language, so
Mm-hmm.
and it's because he's Mormon, or he was. I don't know if he's changed or not, but he
Right.
was. But Megan Kelly, when she said that, I'm going, "What the hell?" Uh, maybe they're taking that thing out of the Democratic playbook now. Let's use it. Let's use the F bomb.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing is we've always most everyday people, it slips out, especially
Yep.
under times of stress. I
Mm-hmm.
remember
Mm-hmm.
when I was going through RCIA, which Rite of Christian Initiation in Adults, and it's called RCIA, and that's basically adult catechism for those converting to Catholicism.
Mm.
I asked my priest one day. I said, and this was in the class. I said, "Here's the deal. Let's say I just went to confession uh before the church service, and then I came down and I took the body and the blood. I took communion, and then Judy and I get in our van to drive home, and some drunk comes flying through there, not even looking which way to go, and I start to pull out, and I don't see it in time. And this guy, sideswipes me, and what if I say, "Oh fuck, we're gonna die," and then I'm dead? Uh, how's that gonna look? Because I just confessed all my sins. He says, "That's what we got purgatory, so you can get your mouth washed out with soap." Like, that
Ah.
works,
Mm-hmm.
But it's like, well, he
It's like palm olive for your mouth and your soul.
yeah, yeah. I mean, he didn't bat an eye when he told me that. He also told me I was going to be the last guy in purgatory because, I'd be the one. Well, okay, it's empty now. Shut out the lights. I don't know if he put a curse on me or not, but he says, "I have a suspicion you're going to be holding the door while everybody leaves, and then you're going to be the one to have to turn out the lights because pretty sure you're going to be the last guy left in purgatory." I said, "Yeah, my luck." But whether you believe in purgatory and all that stuff, it still makes, it's a human reaction to do things like that. And this is what I saw yesterday in both Greg Gutfield, and I guess he didn't do a show last night. Andy did a 2-hour show, but
Mm.
I suspect the reason he didn't do a show is he was probably too tore up about it,
Right.
uh, because my cousin said, "Well, maybe they are punishing him for using the f bomb." I said, "No, I don't think that's it.
Um,
I think well, Hannity's the big cheese there, and what Hannity wants, Hannity gets,
right.
you know." And he's right now he's still the big moneymaker, although Gutfield is probably hot on his tail.
Yeah.
Uh, but you know, I could see it in his eyes. He was like
Yeah.
he was mad, you know.
Yeah.
And I think a
Hmm.
lot of us that's part of the feelings we're dealing with is we're just angry, not
Hmm.
not not angry at we're we're angry at the hatred and
Right.
the
Hmm.
nastiness and the evilness that is coming from the left side of the
Right.
of the spectrum, and we are at a loss. We don't know what to do. I think
Hmm.
what Charlie Kirk was doing is, yeah, he took chances, and and it's not, it is absolutely not his fault. I don't care what anybody says. Uh, well, what about security? It's like this: when when your time has come, when it's time to punch your ticket. Well,
Hmm.
get your ticket punched and move on to the
Hmm.
uptown train. But now that doesn't mean you should go around and getting yourself in a position where you're actually using somebody else's ticket to get on board because, you know, you got somebody else's ticket punched for you. But yeah, I don't think they could have done anything different probably uh,
Right.
than what they did because from what I've seen where they have images of the guy up on the roof, uh, that was pretty far back there.
Yeah.
This wasn't a presidential thing, and
Hmm.
to be honest with you, that's what's so bad about it is because
Yeah.
he wasn't a president. He wasn't even
No.
contending for it. He wasn't even running for Congress, or he wasn't
Hmm.
even running for the dog catcher. You know, didn't even have a college degree, which just
Oh, that's.
amazes me. He
Hmm.
was very proud of that because he knew going to college they would be teaching stuff that would be totally against what he believed.
Right. Also, I think what they need to start doing is, well, we're all drone people here. We
Yeah,
need to start having drones that go up before the show and start scanning roofs of
yeah,
buildings nearby. I
yeah,
mean,
yeah,
sad that we gotta do this, but it's a tool that we use, and they'll probably put a TFR up, and only certain drones or people with
yeah,
drones
yeah,
are
yeah,
allowed to fly and go around, and what we'll do is we'll have a map and say, all right, we'll check out this building, that building, that building, and we'll keep a drone up so we could spot anybody, and somebody that has a drone has a link to somebody and say, hey Bob, we got a suspect on the roof over here.
yeah,
Go check it out. All right, there we
yeah.
go. Hmm.
And that's probably it's probably a great idea. Now the problem is what drone do we use?
Well, one that has zoom capability, like maybe the Phantom 3 Pro, I believe it has zoom capability. And I know the Air 2, the Air 2, I believe. Well, no, the
Air 2S does.
Mavic 2 Zoom did have a zoom. You could
Yeah,
use that.
I think
I mean,
the Air 2S does as well.
yeah, yeah, I know that my Air 2 did have a zoom
Yeah,
capability on it.
yeah,
Yeah.
because I actually one of the shots I got was when I was there in Grand Junction. I went up from this park, got up there pretty high, and then started panning around. And then I kind of zoomed in on stuff. Matter of fact, I did that when I was when I went to South Florida the first day I flew it, which was
Mm.
I bought it the night before from Bill, and then we went out there the day after the main meetup. And uh, I was flying, and I got up there, and when I got up high enough, I could see past the trees that there was beach right down this one path. So I
Mhm.
zoomed in on the beach and watched what was going on there, and that was with the Air 2S. So
Mm.
it had that. So yeah. Uh, but something's got to be done. The hatred has got to stop.
Yeah, we
It's just
gotta,
we've got to
yeah.
get some morality back. We got to get some.
Mm.
It doesn't have to be if you don't believe in a creator or somebody from above. It's like I always say, hey, because I have a few friends that are agnostics. They're not atheists, but they're
Mm.
also, not full believers. They think somebody or something is out there. They're just not sure what it is. And yeah, Michael, could have easily made a cold bore shot at 200 yards. Yeah, I've done shots. Hell, my dad, he was in his see, probably in his late 60s,
Uh-huh.
uh, and we were deer hunting, and he shot a deer with open sights, iron sights. It was a
Wow.
300-yard shot.
Wow.
And
That's
he was
pretty
in his late 60s then.
good. Hmm. Well, folks, we've got over an hour and 15 minutes,
Yep.
and I want to thank everybody for coming to the show. I hope this was informative and cathartic in respects. So don't forget my drone show tomorrow night, Art Crow Drones and Entertainment tomorrow night. Go check that out. I'm not working this weekend, so that could be a longer show. But who
Right.
knows? Take care,
Uncle
everybody.
Bill,
Have
don't forget Uncle Bill on Saturday.
Uncle Bill on Saturday and Lloyd
And then
on Monday.
on Monday, yeah.
Take
So
care. God bless, and we'll see you later.